hui, ia mihi nui kia koutou mō te haringa mai kia toa toko o te Taulapapa o tēnei hui. So tēnā koutou to you all and welcome. And so we will start the meeting just about on time and call it open with our karakia if we could, please.
Ki runga.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'm trying to push buttons on a computer that's got no button. It's not a touchscreen. Okay, I'm ready now. Sorry.
Ki runga.
Ki runga.
Ki raro. Ki roto. Ki waho.
Riri ho pai.
Pai mariri.
Cool. No, excellent. So there's any apologies?
So Andy, you might just want to go through who's in attendance, just so it's in the recording.
Okay, right. So now the meeting's open. I will go through those again. I didn't write your last names down, so do you need their last names as well, I suppose? Because it's me, Andy Whitehead, Sharlee, Bonita, Liz and Aarun are all present, and then we've got Masina, Sara, Phil, Nixon, Phil, Waid, Phil is the other Phil, Candice, and then is it Sharlee or Sharlee? And Liam.
Darleena.
Darlene, is it? Darlene. Okay, did I miss anybody? Nobody said no, so I can't have. Right, so you get all those? Yep, and just be aware that this whole meeting is recorded so that we can go back and check up that I get it right or wrong in the process. The spelling of the names is not up to me, so luckily. Cool. So from that, there was no apologies? No. Right. And is the open forum? Anybody want to speak to us in open forum? No. None of those in attendance are speaking to us, Sara. They haven't put in a request.
No, Andy.
Okay, cool. Right, so we can move on to the confirmation of the minutes from our last meeting, which was on the 12th of March. Which we again had no apologies. There was quite a bit in open forum. Oh no, sorry, Bonita, you were an apology last time. In open forum, they talked about the scanner and the natural, about the sandbags, Mana Springs, the playground, the project, and Rex talked about the projects happening around the community and the power lines as well. Yeah. So I've had a good read of those. I hope somebody else has that can confirm that they're true and accurate.
Sharlee Mareikura will confirm.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Sharlee. Second up. Well, I can second it. Yep, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
There was no against, was there? No, cool. Right, so is there any matters from those minutes?
It's through the chair, Andy, it's Waid here. I just just checking on the power line issue in Fox Street. So I've obviously in lockdown been able to do a bit of recce in Opanaki while I'm out this way. And so I'm just checking that what we're talking about is the last power pole at the end of Fox Street, or is the actual street with the offending trees actually Dymond Street and not Fox Street? I'm just wondering if that maybe can be confirmed. I've actually taken photos of both areas, and I'll forward those through to Phil Waite, and we'll look to get some action in place in the not too distant future. But just if we can just get a check on that, maybe if somebody can follow up with Rex about that.
So just through you, Chair, Phil Nixon here. I can confirm that that is at the end of Dymond Street, right along towards farmlands there, that end of town. It's not Fox Street.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got some photos of those. I'll send those through to Phil Waite just for his info, because I think Phil was asking me for those. But I'll also might just get them to take a look at the power pole that's actually in the trees at the end of Fox Street as well, because that'll become a problem in the not too distant future.
Thank you for that, Waid.
Mr. Chair, Liam Dagg here. Just to follow on from what Waid was saying, I guess when we were talking about that farmlands issue, there was a stormwater drainage issue involved in that, and we can report that our planning team are just looking into the resource consent that was issued for farmland, because there's some conditions around that we're just checking whether they've been complied with in terms of hard surface coverage and drainage. The only problem with that is the physical folders sitting in the office. So lockdown's been a little bit of a constraint in that regard, but I think once we get into alert level 3, we should be able to sort of follow that up, and any further field inspections required should be able to be sort of carried out in the not too distant future. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Liam.
Mr. Chairman, through you, it's Phil Waite speaking. Just to follow up on the children's playground for the under 5s. So we have just recently received some proposals from playground providers to replace the playground that is at the top of the hill from the beach at Bowen Crescent, Bowen Street. So we're just in the process of trying to work out under the current conditions how we're going to share those with people and get some feedback on them. But we've only just got them, so we're still going through that. But we have been in touch with Lisa Bigham, and just to let her know that, so our contracts team leader did that some time ago after the last board meeting.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that, Phil. And on that, are you looking at fencing or containment of, because it's targeting under 5s?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no, haven't planned on that. So although that particular program might be targeted under 5s, generally there would be parental supervision or some sort of supervision. So we hadn't planned on or included in our budget for any fencing around them.
Okay, yep. Excellent. So any further matters arising? One thing we didn't do was get hold of TRC. Did we, Masina? Did you have any luck with them, or is that in regards to the sandbags?
Through Mr. Chairman, there's an update in the matters arising on the agenda. TRC has selected New Plymouth Underwater Limited as its contractor. And they're now part of a larger company. However, level 4 lockdown has impeded work, but as they move to level 3, they'll keep the board updated. So I'll let you know if there's any further movement on that.
Okay, no, excellent. Cool. Right, any further matters?
Just through you, Mr. Chair, can I just ask about the whole artificial reef kaupapa? Now that we're basically out of that loop now, aren't we, Waid? So any further discussion about that needs to really be directed to TRC, and we're, as a council and as a community board, don't need to be involved in any further discussion about that. Would that be correct? I'm just wondering if it needs to be on our matters arising list, or, you know, as far as I'm aware, we've divested all responsibility now, having paid whatever we needed to pay to TRC. Would that be correct?
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, that is correct. However, it kind of keeps popping up on the Taranaki Coastal agenda from time to time as people come and speak to the board about it. So I think it's probably more an advocacy role that the board has. And correct, you know, we should, if there's things that you need us to follow up on, we'll follow up on as officers. If you would like to receive an update from TRC directly, we're happy to arrange for those things for you to happen. But there's no decision making that the board needs to do around that. It is simply for your information, and I guess some people are wanting to see some things done sooner rather than later, particularly if the reef is breaking up as been suggested.
Yeah, thanks for that, Waid. I'm just a bit concerned that people may think by coming to us that we may have some influence over what happens next or how fast that process moves along. And I wouldn't like to set us as a board up for any unrealistic expectations, basically. So I think we just need to have a consistent message around this kaupapa and where to move forward with this, whether it be referring to staff directly rather than us becoming involved to give that message, or whether it's a direct referral back to TRC. But yeah, I just don't want us to make it seem like we can do anything about it when council has exited the process.
Yeah, through the chair, happy to take that on board. But like all our other boards, I see you all as extremely influential.
And that was my understanding of it, that we were, was Chris came to us and said the TRC's process of removing the bags was to cut them open and then to collect the waste as it washed up onto the beach. Now, I don't know how many people find that as what they would see as the best practice, but maybe that's why it was raised to us, and that was why we wanted to go back to the TRC and say, please explain.
Yeah, through the chair, I think that's yeah, correct. I'll probably add a different version of that. My understanding is the divers were going to cut the bags and collect them while they were there, and bring them back on rather than just let them drift away. That would seem extraordinary. It's the first time I've heard that they just let the bags drift onto the beach, because as we know, the ocean could take those bags wherever it felt like, really.
Anyway, and that would be good for us to know exactly what, you know. It's one thing, as Bonita said, one person coming to us and telling us one story when actual what the practice that's happening is slightly different than what they're believing to happen, although
Yes.
some of it may wash up on the beach.
Yes, that's true. No. True. We could certainly arrange to get a TRC officer here, so I can see Masina's jotting down some notes already, and we'll look to even get them involved in the next meeting, even if we're still online. Yep.
No, it sounds cool, and you know, I think it's something that TRC works very closely with us in many areas, or with the council in many areas. So I see a two-way benefit for us being part of those information gathering processes. But although I accept that we can't actually have a major influence, but we certainly can put in submissions, or if we have more information, we'll have better to be able to go back to our community members and say, well, no, that's not what's happening. If that is what you're seeing happen, then yeah. Cool. Happy with that, Bonita, or still feel that it's not? Cool, thank you. Right, any further matters arising? I think we're going to address swimming pools later, so yeah. Everybody happy? Somebody, no further matters? We can move on. Now I've got to go back. This one's a bit slower. I've got to go back to my agenda to find where I'm at next. So. Right. So those matters are rising. So we can move on to rural swimming pools end of season report now.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Just thought we'd like to present the report to you and also just to highlight a couple of things. Sorry, it's Phil Waite speaking. In that report. Firstly, after a bit of a slow start in December, Manaia Pool was actually the only one of our rural pools that had an increase in the number of attendances in the last season. So it's encouraging. Secondly, that the capital works plan for Manaia is sort of progress is being made. Plans and consents have been done. And we are currently putting some tender documentation together so we can go out to contractors to get that work started, which is essentially recladding of the changing areas, new roof, some solar heating, some sort of general repairs around the site to fix some drainage that creates really good ankle breaking opportunities for young children running around the pool deck area. So hopefully that work will get underway and be substantially done by the time the season opens again in December. But just one of the challenges that we have had across the rural pools this year is around staffing. So with the introduction of lone worker policies and new legislation around ensuring our staff have breaks, we double staffed the pools this year in the rural pools, also a safety issue particularly. And whereas in the past we've used university students or younger people to help to staff those, with the current university semesters often starting sooner than when our rural pools close, we don't always get staff to help us out till the end of the rural pool season. So what I'm asking the boards, or we're asking the boards now, is later on in the year when we get to advertising for rural pool staff, it'd be great if there was a little more interest in maybe in the local communities for people applying for those positions. It is for 13 weeks, but so it's only over a fixed period of time. But what we also find, and particularly evident in Manaia, having local people staff the pool actually helps a lot with the younger people who are coming to the pool in terms of sometimes, may I say, discipline, or at least keeping some of those younger people under control. So if there is any opportunities for somebody in the local communities to apply for those positions, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. I'm guessing the costs of all these pools are available in the budget somewhere?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, they are. So each pool is individually budgeted for each year, but yep, so that information is available.
Yep, cool, because that was one thing that we have been challenged on, with Taranaki Pool being in a totally different, and again, just gathering information so we can say to people, well, actually you receive your $40,000 grant and the other pools cost 20,000 or 30 or whatever it is. So, no, cool. And very well used, and sounds like very well customers at pretty satisfactory levels of happiness. And the dog splash went all good, because that's what you always close with, isn't it, in a couple of the pools?
So yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, Kaponga in particular. So there's a group of dog owners in particular who ask us each year if they could utilise the pool for that one day. So yep. There was around 100 odd people who came to the pool on the last day, which, although the weather wasn't that nice, but it was a reasonable number of dogs that came with their owners as well.
Okay. And just on that, you asking us to find locals, they would obviously have to go through certain criteria, police vetting and first aid, or how does that?
Yes, through Mr. Chairman, that's correct. So they would require a first aid certificate. We do have lifeguard training, which we provide. So, and there is a level of competency that we require with people who are employed, and also, yes, there is police vetting that occurs as part of that employment as well. So I guess what I'm just sort of encouraging you to do is to get people to, or point out the fact that there is an employment opportunity there over the summer, and having local people is really helpful.
Excellent, thank you for that. Right, so do we have to move that one to be accepted, Sarah?
Yes, you do, Andy.
Mr. Chair, I just have a query.
So, yep.
Sorry, thank you. Just through you, Mr. Chair, Phil, Waite, what happens to the people who behave badly at the pools? What sort of punishment or what sort of treatment do they get? Do they get trespassed from the pools, or do they get banned for a specific period of time, or how are they dealt with?
Candice, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. So it's a case-by-case thing, and it depends on the level of their behaviour. So quite often it's just a go home for the rest of the day, come back tomorrow, and usually that's enough to sort things out. They don't like missing out, so their behaviour does tend to change after that. That's usually enough. Yeah.
And for further bad behaviour, like the really bad behaviour that's threatened staff and things like that, or cause the pool closure?
Yep. So on some occasions they call the police, and then they take it from there, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, no more about the raw pools. So if somebody move that, we receive that report.
Happy to move, Mr. Chair.
Happy to move. Bonita, seconder.
Sharlee,
I'll second it.
Aarun, second that, Sharlee. Yep, no, cool. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep. There's a delay in my speaking of my microphone. So, no, cool. Community Development Activity Report. Gotta find my place on the page. So is that just for our information, is it?
Yes, Andy, and the board just needs to receive that report.
Okay. So somebody like to move that or is there anything to come out of that, or is someone happy to move that we receive it?
Just through you, Chair.
Mareikura.
Yeah, sorry, Phil.
No, you're right. Leave Sharlee there.
Sharlee?
Just wanted to thank everybody who made the appearance to the Otahi Bridge opening. That was a really well attended opening, both the opening and the turning of the soil here. And a lot of people in the community really appreciated seeing so many councillors and community board members there, so thank you.
I couldn't hear you, Sharlee. I don't know whether anybody else could.
Yeah.
We did.
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. I'm sitting here in poor network. We live way in the Watwops out at the coast of Oanui.
So through you, Chair, can you hear me, Phil Nixon?
Yes, I can hear you, Phil.
Okay, so Sharlee just said it was well received by the community for the amount of people that supported the opening of the Otahi Bridge and the blessing at the turning of the sod, and that the community was very pleased to see how many councillors were there and community board members. So that was really good.
Okay.
I just wanted to make comment that, yes, it was very good to see that bridge open and running, and it was put in place very quickly and efficiently. It all went very well. So that was really good. And I also just wanted to make comment, it was really good just before the lockdown to be able to celebrate our successful apprentices that have done very well in their various fields in the last year. So yeah, this is something a bit new. So we celebrated that with a barbecue and a small function in Normanby. And Reg Kurau, our EB liaison officer, spoke at that, which was really quite moving. It was an awesome event. So yeah, really good to see that. And from memory, I think there was just the one diesel mechanic from Opunaki area that received a certificate on the night.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Right, so we can move on to that next report. Is that
So sorry, Andy, we just need a mover and a seconder for that report.
Yep. Right, is somebody happy to move and second that community development activity report?
Sharlee Mareikura, happy to move.
Sharlee, cool, thank you. Seconder.
Liz.
Liz, thank you, Liz. Right, so we can move on to the next report. Was the library updates, isn't it? The District Library Plus report for February, March. I'm scrolling back and forward here, so. So there'll be not much attendance at the moment, that's for sure.
So just through you, Chair, Phil Nixon, certainly been a lot of electronic attendance. That's risen quite a bit. And I'd just like to commend the library staff. They've been doing a fantastic job with a lot of innovation and projects for the holiday program. And so, yeah, that's been very well received.
Okay, cool, thank you. So yes, and I noticed like they've actually phoned card holders and just seen how they're doing, which is I guess I'd like to that the council could get that information back to them, that was greatly received. Just a phone call to say, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? Yeah. I know Debbie got one, so I'm presuming they did it to all their members or their card holders. So does somebody like to move those that library report be received?
Aaron, move that. I'll move that.
Okay, cool, thank you. Seconder.
Liz.
Liz, cool, thank you, Liz.
So that report just
All
needs to
in
be
favour?
carried, Andy.
The next one.
No, sorry, Andy. It was that one.
Okay, needs to be carried. Yep, is that what we were doing?
Yeah. So all those in
Yep.
favour say aye.
Aye.
I say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, aye. Aaron.
I'm trying to multitask here, scroll up and remember what I said. Okay, so we can move on to the Taranaki Coastal Facilities Usage Report. How's that all looking?
Yeah, through the chair,
Have-
Andy, it's Waid here. Probably just as I've explained to the other community boards so far as well, noting that the numbers have dropped away drastically for facility usage, which will have an impact on income in our budgets over a period of time if it's to continue. We're not expecting to obviously see any usage of our facilities for the foreseeable future, but just letting you know that it does have a impact on the income side of things as well.
Okay. Yep. Are we seeing much of the dumping that we're seeing definitely on the news and obviously in front of our charity shops are receiving quite a lot of problems with that? Is that happening in our area at all?
Through the chair, we'll just check with Liam perhaps, but it hasn't been raised by any of the teams that I'm aware of. Perhaps Liam might have a comment on that.
Yeah, thanks, Waid, and through your chair, we have had, I guess, a little bit of fly tipping reported. There's been some issues at Scott Street, the former metal waste receiving facility, and a few other places. There's the waste minimisation officers have just been sort of putting in reports on it just over the last couple of days. Whether it translates to a spike due to lockdown and those sorts of constraints, it's probably a bit early to tell, but there has been some reports and we've been following it up as we can. Thanks.
Cool, thank you. So what is the council's policy? So a charity shop that obviously gets a lot of everybody else's unwanteds that can't be sold, do they just pay the full price like everybody else?
Through your chair, on that sort of detail, I'd have to take that question on notice and come back to you on that.
Okay, cool. Because it's obviously a problem for and sort of the people that should be paying for it are choosing to get somebody else to pay for it.
Has it been an issue in Opunake at all, Andy?
Haven't noticed it. Haven't noticed any type fly tipping. To be fair, but saying that, I cannot drive anywhere, and I'm not going very far out of my bubble because I don't know whether you guys are aware. I'm in a car in a brace for the next 10 weeks minimum.
I had a question from someone in the community, Andy. They went to the refuse transfer station in Opunake to drop off bottles and things. It was open and they were asked not to drop things in there. So what's it open for?
Waid?
Yeah, through the chair, we've just been having those conversations today, so we're looking to resume normal service or as much as normal next week. The refuse stations may have just been undertaking some of their own maintenance work and that on site. I just need to check that. Perhaps I'm not sure whether Liam's got any more detail around it. I did understand that they were perhaps taking recyclables, but the problem is that they couldn't go anywhere. The MRFs that used to, handle recyclables weren't in operation. So I'm not sure. I can't provide any other detail on that. I might just have to take that one on notice and get some further detail unless Liam can help.
Yeah, through your chair, and I'm with Waid on this one. I guess I'm aware of some issues we've had at other transfer stations, but not Opunake. So that particular matter, we can follow up this afternoon. There's meetings happening around solid waste management across the region from about 1:30. So we'll get a briefing on that and come back to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Because I'm guessing that may be an ongoing issue with recycling, as there's less and less opportunities around the world to use it.
Through your chair, I guess in terms of the recycling, the material type you're talking about, that's certainly the case. But I guess more immediately, and as we go into alert level 3, we're keen to get the MRF or the recycling facility open as quickly as possible and processing. So I guess that's what we're focused on at the moment, and it's hopefully going to be an upshot to the meetings, the solid waste meetings happening regionally this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Liam. Right, any more comments from that, or somebody like to move that that report be received by the board?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Liz, thank you. Seconder.
I'll second it, Aaron.
Okay, Aaron, thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Excellent. Carried. Thank you. Right. Is that us? Any general? I mean, I'd like to raise what's our need to be up to date with the annual planning, and I see that email has come through about the annual plan workshop. Is there an expectation for us community board members to be in on that one?
Andy, you might want to close the meeting, and then that can be a discussion that's had after.
Okay, so no, cool.
I've just got one
happy
thing.
To call the meeting closed.
Yeah. I've just got one
with a
thing to bring up.
Please. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, Aaron, go.
Yeah, just wonder where we're up to with the overflow outside the supermarket. I just went past here again today, and it's got slime coming out again. Is there anything in the long term and the plan going forward to fix that?
Yes, through the chair, I'll just have to. Well, I'm not across that one, so I'm guessing that Fiona or a member of her team might be across it. So I'll just have to get some info on that and follow up.
That'd be cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Andy, I just have something I'd like to raise too, please.
Yep, go Bonita.
Just for whoever is in charge of the gardens these days, the town gardens here in Manaia, if they could please go and speak to the retailers. The fish and chip shop was talking to me about the roses that drop their petals and they just blow into the shop, and I know that's also been an issue down outside the 3 shops across from the Bandrakunda as well. The little bushy roses are lovely, but they create a heck of a mess that blows into those shops constantly, especially during the winter when the petals shed. So if someone could, when there's the ability to, go and have a talk to the Manaia retailers and ask them about that. I had a request from the fish and chip shop to get rid of the damn things because they take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to try and keep them out of the shop, and it's untidy. Thank you.
Masina, where are we up to with the water fountains? Because I guess that's what I want to raise with the council. Like, we're counting down the days to when our spending of our funds ends. Is there going to be any chance to carry extra over this year, or is it going to be the same rules apply?
Through the chair, life's quite different. So there's a whole bunch of rules that potentially used to be in place that may no longer be. So anything, councillors will make, make some of these calls and that as well, and yes, across the coming months. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that are quite different now than what they used to be. So we'll just take that on board. If you didn't manage to spend all your sums of money, let's just take a look at that closer to the time.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Right, anything else in general business? We can call the meeting. If we could close with a karakia, please. Or do we normally, or do you just want to close?
We can close with whakataka te hau. Whakataka te hau ki te uru. Whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kina ki uta. Kia mā taratara ki tai. Kia hei aki ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hauhu, T.A. Mauri ora.
Okay,
Be safe, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Right, Sarah, what were we talking about before I...